How's it going, everybody? Welcome. We got some stuff to talk about today. I haven't watched this trailer yet. I am very excited to finally watch it, though. Taking a little time to try to set things up here this morning and make sure that we don't have any problems. So if the audio seems a little off balance or anything, be sure to let me know, and I will do my best to get that set up before we start digging into the trailer here. But first I want to say thanks for being here to all of you that are here between Twitch and YouTube. I do appreciate it. Hopefully you all caught the announcement that I put up yesterday as well. This is Stream Week, and boy did I choose a good first day for Stream Week. It seems that MiHoYo chose a good day for me to start Stream Week as well. We got a lot to talk about, so we're gonna get into that here in just a second, because yeah, they dropped a massive lore bomb on us today for the Fatui, and I haven't watched it yet. So I am like, my wife watched it this morning. I got out of bed and she's like, "Have you seen the new video that's out?" You know, I said no. I mean, but I'm a notoriously terrible morning person anyways, so just to be able to conjure the words no, or the word no, was probably the most that I could even really get out at the time. She's like, "You shouldn't watch it yet. You should probably do a stream reaction for this." So here I am. She is right. Because as soon as I found out what the topic was, like, yeah, okay, of course, I'm gonna have to do this. So we're gonna do this right now. Let me get the link here, and I'm probably gonna have to mute the last trailer that came on here really quick, but I can, however, use it to make sure that my audio is balanced. So let's see what we got here. It'll probably still be playing the last one. Oh, okay, well, it's not even giving me audio on it, is it? All right, well, let's see what we got here. Okay. Well, before I play that one, let's make sure I kind of got a good idea of what the audio is. I guess I can just use this to find out if the audio is going to be good. If this is too loud, too quiet, let me know, and I will make an alteration to it. A little loud. All right. Yeah, bring it down a little more. I mean, it'll probably have its own volume, but I can kind of home in on like the 10 or 20% area. So, yeah. All right. So let me go and completely replace the link to this now. All right. I am very excited about this.
The sages think themselves to be all-knowing, but we alone are wise to the virtue in those acts of folly. In this war, not even a single pawn may be spared. Because on this chessboard, checkmate is not where the game ends.
I knew she wasn't dead. I knew it.
We are gathered here today to remember our dear comrade. In honor of her sacrifice, all work should halt for half a day as the nation mourns her passing.
Merely half a day? People say the Northland Bank's true currencies are blood and tears. But Mayor, even speaking as a banker, that sounds a little unconscionable.
Rosaline died in a foreign land. But you heartless businessmen and dignitaries, always with a convenient excuse to remain in the comfort of your homeland, you couldn't hope to understand. So why don't you keep your mouths shut? We don't want to make the children cry.
Hey, come on now. Even I don't think this is the right time or place for a fight.
Utterly risible.
Though her methods tarnished her honor, Loafalta's sacrifice is a great pity. Her loss shall not hinder our progress. But Dottore, what of Scaramouche and the Gnosis from Inazuma?
Conventional wisdom holds that divine knowledge cannot be rationally comprehended. After conquering the divine gaze, he will make his next move.
It's time to end tonight's foolish theatrics. Right now, you have no captive audience. Let every worthy sacrifice be carved in ice. With this nation, endure for all time. In the name of Her Majesty the Tsaritsa, we will seize authority from the gods. Absolute peace. Such is the gift from the Tsaritsa. Such is Her Majesty's benevolence. Now you rest in this coffin, encased in layer upon layer of ice. Yeah, but Rosaline, I promise you, your final resting place will be the entirety of the old world.
What does that mean?
I must say, you're looking very young today, Doctor.
You know very well that I do not take that as a compliment.
So, where's the segment in the prime of his life, then?
He's busy with a little experiment in blasphemy.
Oh, Kale.
on patrol.
Okay, Master Tainari! What was that?
We're gonna, so many things. We're gonna watch this again. Holy. Yeah. Like, is Cully having some kind of a vision? Yeah, we're gonna watch this again. So, I mean, they do seem to be driving it home that maybe Signora's
The
gone.
sages think themselves to
they're
be
using so much of
all-knowing,
the
but we alone
symbolism.
are wise to the virtue in those acts of folly.
Oh, I love all
In
the
this war, not even a single pawn may be spared.
interesting.
Because on this chessboard, checkmate is not where the game ends.
Wonder. So I'm gonna guess that the like they had like the little pyro crystal fly thing that is representing Signora land on that pawn. So it's got to be symbolic.
We are gathered here
of
today
loss.
to remember our dear comrade. In honor of her sacrifice, all work should halt for half a day as the nation mourns her passing.
Merely half a day? People say the Northland Bank's true currencies
All
are
right.
blood and tears. But Mayor, even speaking as a banker, that sounds a little unconscious.
This was
Rosaline died in a foreign land. But you
all
heartless
right.
businessmen
This
and
is
dignitaries always with
definitely.
convenient excuse to remain in the comfort
Oh, this
of
is
your homeland.
insanity. This whole trailer is
You can't
insanity.
understand. So why don't you keep your mouths shut?
All right,
You
so
don't want to make the
I did a
truth
little bit of a rebalance on the
Come
sounds
on now.
here.
Even I
Wow.
don't think this is the right time or place for a fight.
I'm gonna have to probably go and look at who each of these actually assigned to as well.
Loafalta's sacrifice is a great pity. Her loss shall not hinder our progress.
So they have the whole.
What of Scaramouche?
They've definitely leaned into the fact that Signora is dead with this. Although
Conventional wisdom holds
man.
that divine knowledge cannot be rational.
I do like somebody mentioned child skin. I do like
After
that
conquering the divine
but yeah, there is an
gaze,
additional
make his
cover for
next
that
move.
here. The divine gaze,
It's time
huh?
to end tonight's foolish
Interesting.
theatrics.
They seem to think that
Right
Scaramouche
now,
is
you
gonna
have
come
no
around.
captive audience.
Oh
Let
man,
every
his mask
worthy
looks so
sacrifice
Connery
be
and it's
carved
crazy.
in
It's definitely got kind of a Dane
This
thing going
nation
on.
endure for all
And like, what? Hold on, I'm gonna pause this one. What is with the one on the left? Like, is she sitting in the hands of a guardian? Like, what's going on there? Like, we know that Dottore has played with the guardians to some degree, but like, she's got one that's like dressed up. So like, what is going on? Like, it appears like there's a ruin guardian on the left. Very interesting.
name of Her Majesty the Tsaritsa, we will seize authority from the gods.
I need to go back through all the Fatui lore.
Absolute peace. Such is the gift from the Tsaritsa. Such is Her Majesty's benevolence. Now you rest in this coffin, encased in layer upon layer of ice. But Rosaline, I promise you, your final resting place will be the entirety of the old world.
The old world. God, what does that mean? Like, is that just, are they trying to make that literal?
I must say, you're looking very young today, Doctor.
You know very well that I do not take that as a compliment.
So, where's the segment in the prime of his life, then?
He's busy with a little experiment in blasphemy.
That must be regarding Scaramouche, right?
Time to head out on patrol.
Okay, Master Tainari.
So, yeah, they're definitely. And so I don't know if any of you guys have gone to the Genshin Impact Twitter today. They had some releases of the characters coming from Sumeru, so we did know that that this is Collei because of that reveal today. However, something that I'm noticing, and maybe some of you have noticed it too, but if you take a look at her vision decoration, it is very, very similar to the one that Amber has, which is, again, kind of leaning into the idea that the relationship that's built up between Amber and Collei in the manga is still canon. They are not deviating from that as a canon source. So yeah, like, it is definitely very similar. Like, the whole bangle that's hanging from her vision is very much like what Amber has. That's a really cool little detail that they built into her character.
What was that?
Oh, all right. I need to go back
Hey,
to the
come
scene.
on now. Even I don't think this is the right time or place for a fight.
Utterly risible.
Though her methods tarnished her honor, Loafaltis
This one has no face. Is this like, is that Puccinella?
shall not hinder our progress.
The name is very
But Dottore,
feminine, but it may not be. I don't know.
and the gnosis from Inazuma.
But he has no face, so that would maybe
Conventional wisdom holds that divine
be
knowledge
consistent
cannot
with the
be
fact that
rationally
like his face was obscured in the original trailer.
After conquering the divine
But it does make it
gaze,
seem as if the Fatui are now the identified to be the pawns.
It's time to end tonight's foolish theatrics. Right now, you have no captive audience. Let every worthy sacrifice be carved
Let's
out.
go
No
back a
captive
little bit.
audience.
His mask is very Conrian. Like, I refuse to believe that the colors of the mask here are not intended to be Conrian. So, this dude, is he Conrian? Like, or is this just like coincidental? Wish I could see his eye better.
Now you have no captive audience.
Yeah, I can't really see that better, but the colors on it are unmistakable. I'm gonna need to go back and look through who all of these are assigned to. God dang. This is I need to go back to the beginning of this whole scene. Let's go back here a little bit more. And she's got like things like crossed over her eyes.
To remember our dear comrade. in honor of her sacrifice.
Oh man, I definitely need to go and brush up on some of the Fatui lore for sure. I feel like we probably do know enough about them to assign names to each of them.
All work should halt for half a day as the nation mourns her passing.
Merely half a day? People say the Northland Bank's true currencies are blood and tears.
Huh.
But Mayor, even speaking as a banker, that sounds a little unconscionable.
Rosaline died in a foreign land. But you heartless business.
Her eyes are very unique. She's got X's for eyes on the inside. Her design is really cool.
So why don't you keep your mouths shut? We don't want to make the children cry.
Huh.
Hey, come on now. Even I don't think this is the right time or place for a fight.
Very interesting.
Utterly risible.
Though her methods tarnished her honor, Loafalta's sacrifice is a great pity.
Somebody says that Genshin Wiki has already assigned the names to the characters. Okay, so I might need to go and take a look at that here before we close up anything today.
What of Scaramouche and the Gnosis from Inazuma?
Conventional wisdom holds that divine knowledge cannot be rationally comprehended.
I am really
After
happy we're
conquering the
finally
divine
seeing
gaze, he will make his
Dottore.
next move.
Because I mean we've been hearing things about him
It's time to
from
end
you know very
tonight's
early on.
foolish theatrics. Right now, you have no captive audience.
Man, I cannot tell. And maybe it's just because I'm on a. It might be because I'm on a what is it a stream window, so I can't necessarily get it in as good a resolution as I would if I were just watching it directly. So hang on, I'm gonna actually. Yo, okay, so I'm pulling this up on a side screen here, and I'm able to actually max out the size, and I can definitely tell that his eye goes to a hard point at the bottom. On like I just pulled it up as like a full screen YouTube window on the side. Dude's definitely Conrian. His pupil matches what Dane and Kaya has. So yeah, he's definitely Conrian. There's no doubt there. So okay. Man, there's so many things going on here. So much to take in. Let's see. So somebody said that the wiki already has their names assigned to their images. So let's go ahead and take a quick look just to make sure that we know who we're looking at. I don't want to be making guesses. I'm going to assume that they've matched these up properly, but we'll see. All right, so the Jester Piero is number 1, and that's I figured that was probably him, but I wasn't sure. I didn't want to speak out of turn on that. Okay, so Pulcinella. Okay, I wouldn't have guessed that this would be Pulcinella, but it is. Okay, and I guess that kind of makes sense because I think this is similar to maybe the hat that we saw in that trailer. I'd have to go back and look at it for sure. Okay. This is Pantalone. Okay, Regrator. Interesting, the wealthy person. So, and that would that's why he would be, you know, that's your key to that too, is like speaking as a banker thing. So yeah, okay, that definitely makes sense. Obviously, we know child is child. I wonder if this is said to be Columbina, the maiden. Okay. And she kind of stays out of it for the most part. Is she in the wide shot? She is in the wide shot, but she's just kind of standing in the back. Okay. Capitano. This is Capitano, the captain. Which, yeah, okay, that's almost direct translation. I have to say that, and I agree with everybody. This dude looks so much like Baiju. It's kind of crazy. God, does he ever look a lot like Baiju? Like the same kind of glasses and stuff. His hairstyle is even very similar. There's no way it's him, right? Like they wouldn't have done that. Man, he does look a lot like him. It's kind of intense how close. Interesting. Somebody saying that she's the one that's singing throughout the trailer. Colombina is the one that's singing. That's interesting. And that she's the one speaking to Il Dottore at the end. Huh. Okay. So, okay. Who else? We still haven't gone over. This should be... oh God, how do you even say this? Arlecchino? It's probably wrong. I probably butchered that. The servant. And so I don't know, like, interesting, the servant.
But you heartless businessmen and dignitaries, always with a convenient excuse to remain in the comfort of your homeland, you couldn't hope to understand.
So interesting, she's saying with the excuse to stay in your homeland, it might be kind of establishing motivation or reasoning for why we haven't really seen that many of the Fatui Harbingers yet. Like, early on, we were kind of thinking we would be seeing all of them as time progressed outside of Snezhnaya. But that kind of hasn't been the case. We've seen Child, we've seen La Signora and Scaramouche, but we haven't seen anybody else. And now it's been quite a little while since we've seen any of them. So yeah, that might actually be a good excuse. Like, they're all, as she says, businessmen with excuses for staying in the homeland. Although that might kind of establish the idea that the servant might be one that we could see outside. Like, we could see presence from some of these characters in Sumeru. Particularly, I'm kind of thinking we might be seeing Dottore in Sumeru, just based on what we saw at the end. But man, okay. There was another one. Let's see, this one, and it says that this is Sandrone the puppet. So yeah, I believe that that would make sense, right? The puppet master to have what looks to be a ruined guardian. She's giving me a Bob feel from Overwatch, like this, like, just, you know, this girl being held by this giant like muscle robot, basically. Yeah, definitely giving me kind of a Bob feel. Interesting. Do you remember Chat Hoyo have a thing of using the same model, like literally Kazuha and Aether? Huh? Confused. All right. Anyways, yeah. So this is Sandrone. Wow, yeah, we finally have, and Dottore, obviously, El Dottore. Now, we knew what he was going to look like, more or less, and we've even seen, you know, his eyes in the manga, so we do know pretty much exactly what he looks like. And then Gero, the Joker. And so, yeah, we've been hearing about the Joker as far back as 1.1, when Scaramouche said that he was going to go back and speak to him after encountering the meteorite fragment. Yeah, we have a lot of things to discuss here. You have a feeling that Arlecchino says that we will be seeing either her or Dottore very soon. Yeah, I mean, I definitely was getting a feeling that we're gonna be seeing them soon.
But you heartless businessmen and dignitaries, always with a convenient excuse to remain in the comfort of your homeland, you couldn't hope to understand. So why don't you keep your mouths shut? We don't want to make the children cry.
The children cry, as if you cared.
Even I don't think.
All right, let's go back to the part with Signora.
Such is the gift from the Tsaritsa. Such is Her Majesty's benevolence.
The gift from the Tsaritsa. It's very interesting.
This coffin, encased in layer upon layer of ice. But Rosaline, I promise you, your final resting place will be the entirety of the old world.
Resting place will be the entirety of the old world. Generally, the old world is referred to, you know, that what came before the Teyvat as we know it, the Byakuyakuku era.
Very young today, Doctor.
You know very well.
So, by the lore for Il Dottore, we do know that he is actually really old, and he has modified himself, which is why he appears somewhat younger. So, I don't know if I understand exactly why he doesn't take the whole looking very young thing to not be a compliment, but I don't know.
Take that as a compliment.
So, where's the segment in the prime of his life then?
He's busy with A little experiment in blasphemy.
It's got to be talking about Scaramouche, right? It has to be. Let me go back. So, I mean, we've heard of, you know, things like some of these like large trees in flames, but, you know, in like past lore, I do believe we've heard some ideas, but interesting. I'm gonna need to definitely. Oh boy, I have so much to really like dig into with this. Now, obviously, I feel like this had like trees and all of this stuff, and like in Genshin, like the way the lore is always like woven into old like Norse or Greek mythology, things like that. Like it's hard to believe that this wouldn't be like a stand-in for like the idea of like the tree of knowledge, and like Sumeru is like the land of the, you know, knowledge. So like this could be metaphorical for that, like the burning of the tree of knowledge, likely. Whether or not we'll actually see this, I think this is maybe like foreshadowing of things to come, or for their plans to come. Like they could really be, you know, trying to bring Sumeru down. The experiment in blasphemy, I do believe, I really do think they're talking about Scaramouche here, but we're not super certain. It could have. Oh man, I don't even know if I want to speculate on that. Let's see what the chat's saying here. If you look at the pale flame circlet, he knew the cataclysm was coming when he was studying at Sumeru, but nobody from Conria listened to him, making him feel like a fool. It's been a little while since I've looked at that one. Might want to go back and check that out, like a new Teyvat without the gods. You might be talking about the old world, is that what you might be talking about there? Elden Ring tree. Scaramouche run away with the Gnosis. He definitely did run away with that, but they don't seem that concerned about it, right? Like Child was already searching for him, which made it seem like they were upset about it. But Torre has had a lot more direct contact with Scaramouche. One could even say that he's the one who kind of was responsible for kind of stoking the flames of his heart, right? Like the discourse within Scaramouche is kind of Torre's fault. He's kind of the one that pushed him to be what he's become. So that could be really interesting as well. I do think that having Dottore finally, like this to me, I think is definitely foreshadowing much more interaction from him, probably for Sumeru. And it also could be hinting that we're going to have an entanglement between the two of them. He seems like he knows what he's up to if this is referring to him. But if it's not referring to him, somebody's saying something about him having clones. Well, that would be interesting if that were the case. I'm not sure. Also, Piero is playing chess with who? The Tsaritsa? Could it be that Coffin is not for La Signora, but it's the Tsaritsa actually closed herself off? Well, that's possible because Venti did say that she cut off all ties, so that could be symbolic of the Tsaritsa. Or, you know, like they could be using it as a double over, right? Like it could actually be the Tsaritsa, or not the Tsaritsa in there, not Signora, because we don't actually have. We do not have, like, Signora burned away. There wasn't anything left of her.
Now you rest in this coffin, encased in layer upon layer of ice. But Rosaline, I promise you, your final resting place will be the entirety of the old.
Yeah, I think that might be like, I think this might be the not like it could be a little confusing, right? Like there wasn't a body for Signora. She burned away after being struck by the Raiden Shogun. So like it seems like he's talking about Signora, but maybe it's not. Let's go back to the beginning as well. I want to see if there's any good indications of who he's playing chess with.
The sages think themselves to be all-knowing.
It's interesting that like I need to see. Hang on, let's see. so we have the white pieces they have been advancing across the board, across to the black pieces. So we have, boy, that's a weird place for a rook to be. I mean, it's not impossible, obviously, but it is kind of an awkward position for it. Assuming that it was one of the dark pieces, but we don't know for sure. And then there's Venti's Gnosis replacing, looking like the queen on that side, because I can't tell if, yeah, that would be a bishop. That would be the queen on the other side, right? So, okay. Because you can see the white queen on the far left side. Interesting. Let's go back a little.
The sages think themselves
True. Dermelia's? I don't know if I probably said that wrong. The coffin doesn't have to contain Signora's body for it to be a funeral for her. Funerals with empty coffins are nothing new. That's true. They don't actually have to have anything, but it does say that there she rests encased within layer upon layer of ice, right? So that's one of the things that kind of makes it imply that she's there. But how could she be? There was nothing left. So I don't know, like, it's so confusing. And whereas, you know, we know that the Tsaritsa is obviously the Cryo Archon, and she cut off all contact. I don't know. Obviously speculative right now. So I do believe, and I've been saying this for a while, you guys. I've been saying this for a while now. We see a knight. We see a knight overtake a black pawn. I do believe that would be representative of the Raiden Shogun killing Signora, right? So that should be symbolic that the Raiden Shogun's piece, her Gnosis, should be a knight. I've been saying / guessing that it would be a knight for a long time. So I suspect that that's what we're going to see when we actually do see her Gnosis, is that it will be a knight. So I do think we've just gotten soft confirmation of that. Now, one could argue that, you know, it's a white piece, right? And it seems like the current, like the God's Gnosis are on the dark side of the board. However, they don't actually have the Raiden Shogun's chess piece yet. They don't have her Gnosis in their possession. So from their perspective, that piece is still on the other side of the board. So, and, you know, so they don't actually have it to replace that one on that side. So the Raiden Shogun's Gnosis is, you know, it's not playing for them yet. Scaramouche is doing something else with it. He hasn't given it to them. So from their perspective, the white side of the board is, you know, a Gnosis that's not yet earned. Yeah. So, and honestly, I think if they had the Gnosis, then we would see that no, like it still wouldn't have been the white one, right? Like this would still be not the Raiden Shogun's Gnosis here. It would still just be this white knight, because then they would have put the Gnosis on their side of the board. So, but yeah, I think that we can say that safely that the Raiden Shogun's Gnosis should be a knight's Gnosis. Let's see. Let me go back again a little bit. The sages, I think themselves to be all-knowing. All right, go back.
The sages think themselves to be all-knowing, but we alone are wise to the virtue in those acts of folly.
So I do believe that we've had some mention of sages within Sumeru. I'm having kind of like a sense memory kind of thing, like I'm hearing the word and I'm associating it with Sumeru immediately. I'm gonna have to do a little research on that to cross-check something, but I do believe they're talking about the people in Sumeru. We do also know that the Fatui have had their claws in things in Sumeru for quite some time. So let me go back, listen to the context again.
The sages think themselves to be all-knowing, but we alone are wise to the virtue in those acts of folly.
The acts of folly. I also have to... So the last time that we saw mention of folly specifically was also pertaining to Sumeru, right? We did have, I think it was Dane's line about what was going on there. I forget exactly how he worded it. God, let me just go pull up the video here. I won't overlay it here because I don't want to replace it on I don't want to take this off the window here because we're still reviewing this. But I want to say, I think you guys should be able to hear the audio for it if I play it. But the Sumeru portion of the Teyvat to Reveal trailer, I feel like this is again, it's intended to cross it over,
So let's
to
not
give
call
us
it
an
that.
association between
The
the two
god
things.
of wisdom's enemy is wisdom itself, and the oasis of knowledge is a mirage in the desert of ignorance. In the city of scholars, there is a push for folly, yet the god of wisdom makes no argument against it.
So I believe we're referencing the same folly, I think. I do think that that's what they're referencing. Hopefully you guys are able to hear the audio from that. Let me know if you did. If you didn't, then I'll go back. But yeah, I think they're talking about what's going on in Sumeru with this. So this is, you know, we are right around the corner, guys, from 3.0. I know we're getting 2.8 tomorrow, but we're right around the corner now from 3.0. We're almost to Sumeru. We're gonna be there soon. So this idea, the push for folly, they're talking about the sages of Sumeru. That's who they're talking about. So we're getting little hints into the plot for Sumeru. We're finding out that the Fatui are going to be very involved in the plot in Sumeru. Shameless plug, by the way, I pretty much did mention that in my theory video, The Edge of Calamity, where I covered what I think is going on with the plot in Sumeru. If you haven't yet watched that video, check it out. Highly recommend, because you know, if you want to actually get a little window into what I believe is happening there. So yeah, I definitely dug into that pretty in depth with what the clues that we have, and I was pretty certain that the Fatui more than likely had a role to play in why they're pursuing the so-called folly. So yeah, check that out if you haven't already. The Edge of Calamity. It's got the thumbnail has Sino and yeah, it has Sino and a Dendro icon on it. Maybe I'll put a link to it in the chat even. If you guys haven't, you know, feel free to you know, go check that out afterwards. Like I said, shameless plug, but it should give you some backfilling on information as to why I was able to put this together pretty quick. All right, resuming. So he said,
But we alone are wise to the virtue in those acts of folly.
they're wise to the virtue in the acts of folly. So again, I did say that folly, like pursuing the pursuit of like the folly that they were chasing down, is maybe what was preventing them from being destroyed. And that was like my whole concept. And that perhaps could be the vision that Cole had. It could be, you know, maybe not something that Dottore was directly responsible for, or could be directly responsible for, but it could be a vision of impending doom for Sumeru, based on, you know, maybe people learning the truth. So this is still stuff that kind of helps to support the theory from, you know, that I released months ago now. Yeah, it definitely doesn't hurt it. Interesting. Oh, guys. Okay, let's continue.
In this war, not even a single pawn may be spared. Because on this chessboard, checkmate is not where the game ends.
See, and so I do think, listen, so checkmate is not where the game ends. They cut to Signora. I'm pretty sure that, to me, is a Signora's not dead. It's like a cheeky, haha, you're going to see her again at some point in the future. I'm pretty sure that's what that's intended. Let's go back and let's dig into that line again, because it's cryptic, right? But let's watch it again.
In this war, not even a single pawn may be spared. Because on this chessboard, checkmate is not where the game ends.
Checkmate is not where the game ends. The visual is meant to evoke like the fire moth, the flame moth. Like this is foreshadowing. You don't throw a line. This is like I've talked about it, listen, a million times in some of my other videos, in some of my streams. It's Chekhov's gun. You don't leave a gun, you don't establish a gun in a scene unless it's going to get used, unless it's going to have a plot point. This is one of those instances. I feel like this is foreshadowing. Signora, whether or not she returns completely, like actually as a physical person, or as whether she has some kind of extended role to play, is another matter. We can't say for sure yet. But I think you know, like this is like they said, it's not the end. They show this on the screen. It's not where the game ends. I think this means that they still have some use for Signora. And I don't necessarily think somebody's saying like true Signoras may be dead, but their ambition is going to continue. I really don't think that they're trying to say like I don't think this is that disjointed. I think this is meant to be a foreshadowing moment that she's gonna have some role to play in the future still. Maybe not. Yeah, Chekhov's gun. It's look it up if you've never looked it up. It's basically a literary concept that says if there's a gun in a scene, it's going to, if they've written for it to exist in the scene, it means it's going to get used. It's foreshadowing, basically. This to me is a reflection of that. I'm not necessarily saying that she's going to come back and have a huge role to play, but I do think that there is some role for her to play here. And honestly, I feel like there's a lot of dead characters that have been given a lot of screen time through the trailers for a reason. Genshin Impact has very much been established as a time story. There's a lot going on with time travel-y like concepts where these characters could still have representation if the traveler is put backwards in time. Hell, like I find myself, and let me know in the chat if you guys think this is a cool idea. I find myself really hoping at some point in the game we're going to be given a portion where maybe even a map that we can be sent to where it's 500 years ago and you're playing as your sibling, not as the traveler. And, you know, like you go there and that's the only character you have access to. And there you can encounter some of the characters that are now long gone in the current story. And there we can learn about our siblings' journey, you know, like not through hearsay, but directly on screen. There you can explore the world of the Cataclysm itself. I would love it if they would do that, because there, you know, we could, you know, maybe they could even give us access to the characters that died there. You know, like, you know, there you could, like, you know, maybe not banners for them, but maybe, you know, they could be unlocked there and you could have access to those characters there. Or maybe it could be an extension of like this idea of the Spiral Abyss, you know, like as opposed to it being the Spiral Abyss, you go through this portal and the traveler sees through their siblings' eyes. You're playing through them there. And, you know, you have access to some of the other characters there. That could be really interesting because we really don't know that much about what our sibling went through, what their journey was like, because they've been there 500 years longer than we have. So there's a lot to explore there. Give us access to our sibling in the past. Let us go through a portal and explore that world. It's the same map, right? Like, they don't have to rework the entire world. They don't have to build as much of it. They can even just give us isolated access to it for specific story instances. Oh, man. Oh, I really hope they do something like this, man. Yeah, an alternate door during the login kind of thing. Yeah, that could be cool. Like, they're both there and you click on one or the other. It could be interesting. I kind of see it, like, in my mind, I see it as like, you know, like a Spiral Abyss type portal or something like that. But yeah, that could be the way for them to give us access to some of these characters like Mikoshi Chiyo, Kitsune Saigu, what is his name? Oh God. The original, oh, I can't remember his name and I feel bad for not remembering his name right now. The original Tengu general. It's right on the tip of my tongue, and I can't think of it right now. But you know, obviously, other characters like Signora during the time of the Cataclysm, while she was still Rosalind, but she was slowly breaking into the Crimson Witch, like. The Yaksha, yeah, that's the Kasu said the Yaksha, yeah, the Yaksha could be another great one. Makoto even would be another good one. Like we could see these characters in the real world. Rostam, yes, Signora's lover Rostam, yeah, that's another good option. Sasayuri, thank you, Salient, thank you, Sasayuri. I wonder, yeah, there's a lot of characters that we could see that are established in the deep lore back then. Ball, yeah, Ball is Makoto, so yeah, because Ball was never actually the Raiden Shogun as we know them. And people there's still people out there calling Bao, which is or Ball or Bao or however I think it's I never can remember. Guizhong, yes, Guizhong. One of the characters I'm most excited to see at some point in the story. I feel like Guizhong definitely has a role to play still. Yeah. Vanessa. Although, here's the thing about Vanessa, because Vanessa isn't dead. So we could actually still see Vanessa in the current day, and I am counting until Vanessa comes back. I want her to come back. I really, really do. What kind of role do I think the Traveler will play at Sumeru? Well, I don't think the Traveler is going to be, you know, escaping arrest upon arrival in Sumeru like in the other regions so far. Because that's happened in both Lioa and Inazuma. And I wouldn't say it happened directly in Mondstadt, right? It didn't really, like, he wasn't, like, arrested, but he was immediately apprehended by Amber and taken to town to be shown around. So it was like, hey, what are you doing here? I don't know who you are, but let me show you around. That was kind of like the idea there. So, yeah, I think that we'll have a different situation there. I actually have a whole video that I've been, my next major lore video will be covering some of the characters also who I think are going to be very important in Sumeru. And now that we actually have some footage to work with for one of them, that really helps, actually. The Traveler is going to be wanted criminal again, probably. God, I hope not. Please don't overuse that. All right, so let's continue on a little bit more here. Man, I feel like I need to... Man. This is all so interesting, man. I'm so glad we finally have... I'm so glad we've finally demystified the Fatui Harbingers. Oh, what a huge day. What a huge day. Absolutely mind-blowing.
People say the Northland Bank's true currencies are blood and tears.
Blood and tears, yeah.
Speaking as a banker, that sounds a little unconscionable.
Rosaline died in a foreign land. But you heartless businessmen and dignitaries always with a convenient...
So somebody said in the chat the Traveler will join the Fatui. I mean, we've seen some lines that are talking about there's a power void there now, because one of the seats of the Fatui, which I believe Signora was the... Was she the 8th? That's the number I have in my head for. I'd have to go back. Let me look at that, actually. I think the wiki says... Yeah, she was the 8th. So, like, the slot of the 8th is now open. Now, obviously, like, the power gap could fill... Like, they could just rearrange their current... You know, the ranks of the other 10 to fill that in. But then there are the 10 Fatui Harbingers. And I feel like the 11th will now open back up. Like, even Child could, you know, fight to slide up the list. But, you know, the Traveler is the one kind of directly responsible for the death of Signora. Yes, the Traveler isn't the one that killed her, but he did defeat her in a duel, which resulted in the Raiden Shogun executing her. So, you know, the Traveler, I think, would be, like, the perfect insert, right? But to what end? I don't think it would be like, you know, the Traveler all of a sudden becomes evil. Like, that's not what's going to happen here. Let's be fair. But, you know, the Traveler could go down that road, who knows, in order to, you know, get beyond a certain point, to get within, you know, Snezhnaya, or even to infiltrate them, or maybe, you know, it could be somebody new that fills that in, and maybe by being close to Child, being close to Tartaglia, or however the hell you're supposed to say his name. He could be our sleeper, right? Like, he could be the one who infiltrates the Fatui for us. It just depends on how his allegiances really align with them as time goes on. We have seen no signs right now that would make us think that he would be willing to kind of double cross the Fatui in any way, but we do have this strong connection that he has to his family. We do know that Child is very family based, and the Tsaritsa's goals do not necessarily align with it, like the ideals of keeping his family safe, because she is the god that no longer has love left for her people. Like, that's the idea there. So let's continue on a little bit here. He is loyal to the Tsaritsa. You are right. I saw somebody say that. RG Chime said that. Yes, he is.
We don't want to make the children cry.
Hey, come on now. Even I don't think this is the right time or place for a fight.
Do the voice? What voice would that be?
Though her methods tarnished her honor, Loafalta's sacrifice is a great pity. Her loss shall not hinder our progress.
It definitely seems as if the Fatui count her out, mostly. Although, and again, this is where this idea of the old world comes back again, because, you know, they showed what I understand to be, or I take to be, a foreshadowing of future involvement from Rosalind, from La Signora. They gave us that foreshadowing moment that she may still have some form of involvement. And then they go on to say at the end that her resting place will be the entirety of the old world. So is this... Oh man, it makes me really wonder if, like, they're going to, if they're working on like some kind of time travel, or they're working on, you know, like getting her to change something in the past. Like, oh man, or like it could go anywhere with it. I don't know if we have enough information to really speculate what's going on there, but the game is slowly but surely giving us more and more time related elements, and I don't think that that's accidental.
Knowledge cannot be rationally comprehended.
There's lots of mentions of wisdom, like
divine gaze, he will make his next move.
Conquering the divine gaze. So this is another interesting idea. Like, they're conquering the divine gaze. So I think that this is taken to say that, like, Scaramouche is having to conquer the Gnosis, because if you guys recall, in the deep lore for Scaramouche, when he was given the Gnosis originally by it compromised him. It made him very sad. Like, he witnessed the events of her life, and it basically ruined him. It made him emotionally compromised. So that's what they seem to think that he is having to conquer. Il Dottore seems to be confident that he will still be working for them at the end of that. I'm not so sure, though. I'm really not.
His next move.
It's time to end tonight's foolish theatrics. Right now, you have no captive audience.
Huh.
Let every worthy sacrifice be carved in ice. With this nation endure for all time.
Okay, so I was thinking initially that this was like a table or something that they're around, but no, they obviously it's I'm stupid, and like it's been Signora's coffin this whole time. I'm only just now noticing, like, she's leaning on the coffin. This is the coffin. This is the same location that the end shows. Like, god dang it. I've been paying attention to so many other elements that I was thinking this was like just some kind of a meeting place, but obviously they're gathering around Signora's coffin. So hopefully I'm not the only one that detail escaped until just now, but Jesus. It's very interesting, like all of these like snowflake designs that they have here. The one on the coffin as well. All right, let me go back.
After conquering the divine gaze, he will make his next move.
It's time to end tonight's foolish theatrics. Right now, you have no captive audience.
So here again, like back to Piero for a moment, the Joker. He's Conrian. So we're finding that there are a few Conrian survivors beyond that of just Dane. But how did that happen, right? Like, is he not cursed like Dane, or is maybe that's why he wears the mask on half of his face, just like Dane does? Perhaps the corruption is also overtaking him as well. We don't know. I mean, I guess we'd have to see more of him to know for sure. But this definitely, there are some Conrians who are not okay. And, you know, obviously the Harbingers are all pretty much villainous anyways.
Let every worthy sacrifice be carved in ice. With this nation, endure for all time.
And so for anybody who's a late joiner in the stream, the reason why we know that Piero is Conrian is not just because his mask is the same color as Dane's and matches the design aspects of Dane's, but it's also because if you pull the video up, full screen it, it's a little hard to show here. You can see that his pupil is a star. So he's got the same color and design of eye pupil as everybody else we've ever seen from Conria. There was also, and I forget his name off the top of my head right now, Dane's friend, who sacrificed himself in 2.5 to, you know, stop to stop the machine that was tormenting the Hilly Churls. We saw that he also had that pupil design. To Halfdan, thank you, Ren. We saw there that, you know, like that confirmed that it was a pattern, not a coincidence. 2 is a coincidence, 3 is a pattern. This is now 4. So now we know that is, you know, that is a telltale sign of a Conrian. So he, like, Piero is Conrian. We know that for a fact now. Why is it, however, I mean, I guess we know why Piero would have a vested interest in bringing down the gods, right? Like, his nation was destroyed. Conria was destroyed by the gods. So that would be why he would have a vested interest in removing the old world power of the gods. Oh, man. But, you know, here's another one of those things where it's like, but where is the Tsaritsa in all of this, right? Like, oh man, it really makes me wonder what's going on with the Tsaritsa, because she's had no contact with the other gods for 500 years. Venti hasn't spoken with her in 500 years. Did he do something? Did he coerce the Tsaritsa? Did he change her in some way? Did he, like, what is going on there? Is this not, as we'll say, like, did he, like, overthrow her and just nobody knows? Like, I've got so many, like, thoughts swirling about this character, because obviously, like, why would somebody whose nation was destroyed, his people were killed by the gods, then go and work for one, right? Like, I'm trying to figure out what would be the motivator for this, but I can't necessarily think of anything. Not right now.
Let every worthy sacrifice be carved in ice. With this nation, endure for all time. In the name of Her Majesty the Tsaritsa, we will seize authority from the gods.
Yeah, maybe the Tsaritsa saved him. It's possible. That could be why he would pledge loyalty. That's a good thought.
Absolute peace. Such is the gift from the Tsaritsa. Such is Her Majesty's benevolence. Now you rest in this coffin, encased in layer upon layer of ice. But Rosaline, I promise you, your final resting place will be the entirety of the old world.
Man, this trailer is this is definitely the biggest trailer we've had since Travail, honestly.
You're looking very young today, Doctor.
You know very well that I do not take that as a compliment.
So, where's the segment in the prime of his life, then?
He's busy with a little experiment in blasphemy.
Huh.
Colin, time to head out on patrol.
Okay, Master Tainari.
Oh, isn't? Interesting. Okay. All right. So, yeah, we've got a lot to look forward to, guys. You think they show 3 Dotaris in this trailer? He is known to make several clones of himself in different ages to do tasks all over Teyvat. I do think I recall hearing a little something about that. Let me see something here really quick. Oh, hey, that was annoying. I do seem to recall maybe a little something about that, but I don't think there was ever anything mentioned about him being a clone in the manga. So it would be extended lore that might have covered that as a possibility. But I would need to go back and dig a little bit into some of his extended lore and kind of see what that amounts to. So here's the thing: is like I don't know that like. The idea of the Tree of Knowledge being burned, I don't necessarily think that, you know, this should be taken literal. It could be, but I don't necessarily think that that's like, I think this is like the idea of like knowledge is being burned down. Like, you know, Kolai's vision could be symbolic for like, you know, it could be symbolic for the destruction of Sumeru impending. But you know, like the idea of like knowledge being burned away or something like that could be very symbolic of the destruction of Sumeru, but it's hard to say. I don't necessarily think we're going to be seeing a giant tree in flames, but it is possible, or maybe it already happened off screen. I don't know. Do you think the different colored crystals on their outfits mean anything? Probably just, you know, maybe relevant to like their elements or something. I'm not sure. A lot of the times that's specific to their elemental types. Because they do all have different ones, right? So I would tend to think, although, you know, I see Child's over here. He's got some red ones. So I really am not sure. Looks like she has some red ones too. Yeah. I feel like I don't think we're gonna see Sumeru be destroyed, but I do think that we're going to see, you know, an attempt being made for that, but I guess we'll see. We could be seeing a much more direct onslaught from the Fatui harbingers in Sumeru than we've seen in the past, though, and that could be really interesting as well. If the Tsaritsa is dead, wouldn't Snezhnaya get a new Archon? Just like every nation except Mondstadt and Liyue 500 years ago. Well, I don't think she's dead, but you know, if Piero did something to her, he could have, you know, put her on ice, so to speak. You know, like she could be in like a godly slumber that's been, you know, artificially manifest that she can't break herself from. But like it's all speculative. That's probably not what's going on. Pyro is a war symbol, so maybe declaring war. That's also true. Pyro is literally like the god of war is the Pyro Archon. Marionette, maybe we'll see her in Fontaine. So I definitely think we'll see her in Fontaine. There's a few reasons for that, but I definitely think that, you know, like going back and thinking about Lene and Lynette and the way they were portrayed, it definitely calls forth like that kind of idea. I don't want to say it looks like they're strung up as puppets and that, but it does kind of like they're like stage performers, and it just kind of gives me that kind of vibe. And I think if we were to see her somewhere, I would say it's probably there. I get it, kind of the feeling from that. Isn't the Sumeru god the youngest god? They're the newest god. We don't actually know how old Kusanali is. But yeah, like they've only been a god for about 500 years. Do you think Piero knows about Kaya and Dane? I think that Piero definitely knows about Dane. I don't know. I know Dane knows about Kaya, but like we don't really know what. I mean, I feel like he has to, right? I feel like he definitely has to know. And this could also call into play like this whole idea of like Kaya's gonna have to, you know, make a decision between the past and the present, like his past life and his and the future of Mondstadt or the future of Teyvat. This was called into question by Mona's voice line about Kaya quite some time ago. Kaya's going to be real important at some point in the future, for sure. Maybe one of the most important characters. And I think that there's a very potent reason why characters like Lisa, Amber, and Kaya were developed as the starter characters that everybody gets for free. But I'm going to talk about that in an upcoming video, so I'm not going to dig into that too much right now. Perhaps the Tsaritsa showed her love to Piero, which is why he's willing to work for her. But in turn, because of that, he's told her she's lost that love. Maybe. It's very, very possible. Well, wasn't Kaya buying all that food for the Fatui in an event a couple patches back? Piero probably knows about him. Yeah, I mean, very probably. The Tsaritsa could be the one playing chess on the white half of the board. Judging by the cryo dust moving the knight, Piero does move his... Oh, yeah, let me go back. I don't know that I noticed that.
Alone are wise to the virtue in those acts of folly.
Okay, I didn't notice that, but I think you're right. Yeah, you're right. 100% good eye. I actually think that is probably like the biggest takeaway that I've seen in this whole trailer. That pretty much confirms that she's still at play. Like, you can see that build up around it. Like, it moves with like cryo energy. So interesting that they're playing against one another then. But what does that mean then? Because like the Harbingers are supposedly, you know, they're playing for the Tsaritsa. So I don't know, are they just using this? They're not necessarily playing against each other so much as they're using this chessboard as a stand-in for, like, you know, a metaphor for the battle that's taking place, right? So yeah, this mist that's on it is obviously a cryo mist. So yeah, that would all but confirm that she is the one playing on the other side of the board. Good eye. Yeah, and then also the church freezes at the end, which I very much, yeah, I take to mean that was done by the Tsaritsa. So yeah, she has to still be in play. You're right.
Now you rest in this coffin,
man,
encased in layer upon layer of ice. But Rosaline, I promise you, your final resting place will be the entirety of the old world.
Oh, guys, what a trailer. I think that's pretty much all I'm gonna dig into on this one. I'm also noticing that there's like a thing here for new voice lines that came up. I might want to go and take a look at those at some point here, because I haven't really looked into any of that yet. So I should probably do that. If he's talking about all of the other Harbingers, I might want to get in there and do that at some point. Yeah. I think I'm gonna wrap up the stream here, guys. If you guys were not aware, by the way, go and check out the Genshin official Twitter. They released the teaser arts for a bunch of the characters in Sumeru. That would be one of them would be Kole, the character that we saw at the end. So that would be really, really interesting, you know, to see when she arrives, what her involvement in the story is going to be. I refuse to believe that Kole is not going to be involved in the story in some kind of a major way, especially given her involvement with the manga. I still think that we've got a couple other characters that are well-knowns that are going to have some role to play in what's going on in Sumeru. So we're going to dive into all that in an upcoming video that I will be working on here soon. Anyways, huge trailer today, guys. Giant, just enormous lore bomb. I've got some things to think about. I'm going to probably review this trailer a few more times over the next day or so. If I have time to write up anything for it directly to talk about this, I will do that. I did put out a channel announcement recently saying about how I really won't have much time to really be digging into all this stuff as deep as I had been. But I will try for things like this. So we'll see. I'm going to get into that. Will we get a video on this Fatui trailer? I'm discussing the probability of, yeah, probably, yeah. More than likely, yes. I'm more than likely going to be doing some level of analysis on this in the near future. Anyways, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for stopping by the stream. Expect another stream tomorrow following the release of 2.8. I will see you all tomorrow in the next one. Thanks for being here. Eat the Paimon.